Hey, how's it going?
No, well, overall I'm good, but I'm in a bit of a pickle with this Simply Dreaming quilt. Um, if you can't, I'm going to try to hold this up so you can see it. If not, let me see if I can do it better this
You
way.
know what? Turn your background off first, because otherwise it's going to be really hard to see it.
I don't even know how to do that.
Go to video. If you click on the arrow on by video and go to choose virtual background. Now, are you on a tablet or a phone or something though?
A phone.
Don't actually know how to do it on a phone.
Well, that's the pickle I'm in. I can't even get you back now. Um,
That's whatever you're doing there, I think it's turning your camera off. Let me see. Joe has said, let me see. Oh, it was Ruth who started out by saying, make a zipper pocket or pouch for storing the pieces. Yes. Using a heart design with the zipper would be perfect from Judy. Yes. And I have lots of those hanging around. that would be absolutely perfect.
Sarah, I think I've got it now.
Yes, you do. Okay, hang tight. Let me just follow this through here. Um, Susie, yes. Joe says, I've been trying to figure out with the chess pieces how you would king on top of a checker. What? You simply sit them on top of each other. I forgot that is it when you're playing checkers, you've got two, yeah, you're literally just going to sit them on top of each other the same way that you would in a regular, with regular pieces, just stack them. And then, yes, Marilyn, you're right. Joey's getting complicated. You want a pouch with 3 sections. We have, if Bruce said go to YouTube for multi-zippered bags, but you don't have to go to YouTube. You can go to Meaning of Life Designs, and let me see, I will tell you the name. One of our bags, and I actually had it out the other day. Mel's What the Flat Bag, April 2021. If you guys remember that, it has 3 zippered pockets on it. And you get to choose the flap that you want to put on it. So if you want a bag with 3 zippered pockets on it, Mel's What the Flap Bag, April 2021. Okay, Kim.
Now, can you see the stitches in the quilting?
I do. And I think it may be as simple as slow the machine down.
I have.
So,
I slow
so
it down. I slow it down all the way to where it makes a stitch, a stitch, a stitch. It's that slow. I've tried every slow setting from in the middle all the way down as far as it will go. It still does this.
in that case, I don't really know what to tell you. You tell you in your question, you say you're holding the weight of the quilt off the machine, which you definitely want it to do. There's no need to recalibrate. I'm looking at your quilt. I know that, some of those little circles are definitely going a little bit funky. I don't know why, honestly, other than slowing it down. I was going to have a look at my this quilt earlier, and I know every now and then there is a circle that is not not 100% true, but for the most part, I would say 90% at least of these circles are coming out as they should do. So beyond supporting the weight and slowing it down, I don't know what to suggest. I don't know if anybody else has any suggestions.
Well, I've had this problem on this size of quilt, and even on the small quilt. And the small quilts that I made, I did the 5-inch blocks. I didn't make the bigger version of them. They were just the original size, and I had the same problem. So it will sew everything else beautifully. I mean, here's some of the feather stitching.
Right.
Everything else is just gorgeous. Even the quilting over here on the edge is just beautiful. It just won't do circles.
Hmm.
And I tried downloading it again. Same thing.
And which format of the designs are you using?
VP3.
I don't think that should make any difference. And I do know for sure that these designs stitch out perfectly, because I have a quilt that shows them stitching out perfectly, and we've seen lots and lots of other quilts.
Well, I don't know how to get that on my machine. I guess that's what I'm saying, because it just, and I've taken this into 35th Avenue. It's been in there twice for this problem. Those machines have, and both times they say, well, it stitches out perfectly in here. Well, I show them the quilt when I bring the machine in, and well, we can't make it do it, so we can't figure out what the problem is.
Sarah,
So when you're quilting this, which kind of hoop are you using?
A magnetic hoop. These are 8-inch blocks, so I use the Viking 8-inch block, and it's actually more the Viking magnetic. I can't get all my M's out today. The Viking magnetic hoops actually will secure a piece of fabric to it better than the dime hoops, the monster hoops will. It literally will lock it on there. And I've been using those because you only need an 8-inch hoop for this design.
So Bonnie is saying try the PES designs on a sample.
I did. I even switched when I was trying different to download another file and do all that. I tried a PES file and it did the same thing. And I'm just at my wit's end on this.
So you said that they're 7.5-inch blocks and you're using an 8-inch square hoop?
Well, it's the 200 by 200 hoop.
Okay.
Which this design will fit in.
Do you have a bigger hoop?
I have a 200 by 260 and I tried it on that. And, you know, Sarah, I've tried everything. And the bigger hoop actually just has a little bit more play in it. So that's why I stuck with the 200 by 200.
Okay. And you're using your system that you've got for holding the quilt? Is there any way anything could be dragging?
No, I am literally picking it up off of the table and holding it in my arms as it stitches, and it does this. It's too hot right now to work in my sewing room, so I've had to move out to another part of the house, and I don't have my suspension system out here. I don't even think it would help, but because it would help on the back end. But what I'm doing is I'm just getting it placed on the machine, ready to stitch, and then I pick everything up and hold it while it stitches.
Hang tight 1 second, because Christine is here, and Christine is also working on Simply Dreaming. Let me add Christine here.
Hi, Sarah.
Hey, how's it going down there?
Yeah, okay.
Now
Right.
you're wearing a sweater, so I'm taking it that it's not gotten too much warmer.
No, the temperature quilt is not, you know, I've got
I
2
saw a
yellow
little bit of
days
green
and that was
popping in
it.
there.
Yeah.
You're a
It's,
little bit off. You've gone slightly off blues into the greens.
yeah, it's not been good today at all. It's not been warm at all. T-shirt, shorts and slippers were the order of the day.
Okay. So have you been have you gotten to the point where you are quilting block
Yeah,
3 yet? And how did it come out?
fine. This is the 5.5-inch ones. I don't know if you can say it's really, it's not easy.
Yep.
Can you see that?
Yes, I can actually. Can you see that, Kim? It's
No,
probably going to
it's
come
too
out
dark.
really tiny on your phone.
It's too dark. But I'm sure people can do it. I don't know what to do to make my machine do it, because this is bigger than the 5-inch quilt. The center
So-
of this is much bigger than that center. And so I
Christine.
realized it could be weight, but you know,
Looks like it.
this center, the background is cut to like 70, I want to say 72 inches. You cut the background fabric and the batting to that. So it's significantly bigger than the center of the 5-inch quilt.
Christine,
Yeah, I
which
get that,
machine
but
are you
the
using?
principle is the same. Because I use VP3. Mine are VP3, but I don't use any. I just use the FAF hoops, which I think are the same as the Viking anyway.
Yeah,
I
they
don't
are.
use any. Yeah, I don't use any magnetic hoops or anything like that. And the thread, where you've got the thread spool that is vertical, and you go up to the, I don't know
Right.
if I can show you. Bye.
Now, I have a Ruby 90 and I have a designer diamond deluxe, and I do that with both machines. Even though the designer diamond doesn't have that, I have a spool rack I can put on, or an extender I can put on the individual spools, and I always use that.
I find that if I'm using this, where the thread goes up and then it threads through, if I do start having any issues, I then use this other one. I don't know if you can see that, which then lays flat.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if that's giving it a little bit more, I wouldn't say tension.
Well, I don't think it, I
more.
don't think it will make that much difference. Plus the spools that I have, they recommend standing the spool up. And so because of the way the thread unwinds around the spool, I have a spool net on my spools, primarily because I have fans going everywhere in this house to try to keep it cool. And so I net my spools. So as a fresh spool, it will just almost spring off the spool. So I net them so that it controls the rate of it coming off of the spool. And that prevents those problems. I learned that trick early on.
I don't know.
Have you tried using your regular hoops, Kim?
No, and frankly, I refuse to do that because it's just too hard on my hands. I've got arthritis in my hands, and I would be so sore after doing just a few hoopings, it would be almost unbearable.
I've got wonky fingers.
I just can't. Then the other problem I have is my fingers lock up. So I sometimes have to just manually massage them to get them to straighten out again.
I always use a bigger hoop than what it says, the biggest, because I just find get the thing in the hoop, get it on the machine, and then with the precise positioning, use that to sort it out. I just find that method easier.
Yeah, I don't. And when I have tried to do that in the past, now I haven't tried it with this particular quilt, what happens if I do a lot of positioning, it will throw it out of calibration, and it will pop up a message the machine needs to be recalibrated. Does it on both my machines.
then that's a machine problem as opposed to a design problem.
Well, I just can't get that through to the thick heads at the dealer that services them.
Yeah, I don't
So I'm
know.
just trying to find a way to make this work.
Kim, are you entering this into a competition?
I wanted to, but with these blocks, no.
Because Bonnie is saying, could it be the bobbin thread or the needle? I don't think so, Bonnie.
I know the bobbins are
yeah.
winding correctly. I wind my bobbin slower too, so you get a good wind on them. I change needles every 8 hours or more. So
What
I
kind
don't
of
think
needles
it's
are you using?
Schmetz. And I'm
Titanium
using a top stitch. I'm using a 14 needle and top stitch eye.
Are you using the
use-
titanium needles?
I'm leery of titaniums because if something hits that the needle I have now, it will break. I know that it will bend easily. With the titanium needle, yes, they are stronger. I learned this from a long arm teacher. Yes, they will, you know, they are stronger, but if you hit something, you could do damage to the timing of the machine because it won't give as quickly. And so you're better off to go with one that will bend more and replace your needles more often than to have one that wouldn't bend and knocks the timing
They're
out.
the ones I use.
I
Yeah,
didn't
those are the same
understand you.
ones that I use too.
Yeah. And I use the same thread in the bob end.
I didn't hear the,
50.
I didn't understand what brand you use.
It's the
These
superior
are-
titanium top stitch.
Yeah,
Oh,
80-12.
Yeah, I'm just real leery of titanium. I won't use titanium on either of my machines after that class and because of what she told us.
So other than making sure that you've got the entire quilt supported and slowing the machine down, I'm out of ideas to know what to suggest, Kim. Because
Okay,
the designs will stitch perfectly. Lots of people have done it.
no, they haven't for any of them that I've made yet. And I've tried every trick I know, and I'm just not willing to take risks with my machines. I don't seriously think a titanium needle will make any difference because Schmetz is a really good brand of needle.
What
Well,
thread
I'll
are you
fiddle.
using in the bobbin?
I'm using the same thread as the top thread. I'm using 40 weight Floriani.
Yeah, I don't know that the thread is going to make any difference. The most likely culprit is it's pulling somehow in the hoop. Is there any way that you could have somebody help you to hold the quilt whilst it's quilting?
Well, my husband's a great guy, but I don't think he'll go that far. And I reach around the machine and actually hold it while it stitches. So I don't think somebody helping me would hold it any better.
Have you got how much space do you have around your machine? Because you don't really need to be holding it as long as you've got the weight supported on the table at the front and at the back and on the side.
I'm on a big table, and
So
and I make sure that there's none that's off the table. And it does it whether it's spread kind of out on the table but off the table, and it does it when I hold it all up. So I don't know what to do.
Does it, on the tension sampler, does it do the same?
Nope.
that's a good point, Christine. So if it's stitching the tension sampler out in perfect circles, then it has to be something is dragging. The weight of the quilt is dragging somewhere.
I just can't figure out where because it's all off the table in my arms. I mean, I'm sore after I do a little bit of this.
So you shouldn't be having to hold the whole thing. your table should be supporting it. So if you get the bulk of the fabric underneath, so that the top part that you're working on can move freely, there's no need to be physically holding the quilt. I'm wondering if you could try, and I know that you don't want to, but if you could try stitching it up in the regular hoop, choose one of your big hoops and see what happens if you hoop the quilt in one of your hoops with the screw, and see how that works.
See,
Well, I
sorry.
might try it. I just I'm pretty sure well, I know what will happen, because when I first started with the Simply Dreaming quilts, I didn't have a magnetic hoop. And so they were hooped in a regular hoop, and I had this problem. So
don't know, but I mean, I was always told with mine, although it's faff, it's all part of the same sort of thing, that the magnetic hoops can cause all sorts of issues because of the strength of the magnetic hoops. It can cause issues with the electronics in the machine or the computer system, whatever it is in the machine. And, you know, we were advised not to use them.
every Viking dealer will tell you the same thing, but it's not true. All they're trying to do is sell you more stuff. And I've even
Kim,
had
we're not going to
firmer.
go down. We're not going there. So there are some suggestions here. Is there anybody close with a different machine that you could try? That one came from Marion. Even if so you're close to Mulqueen, you're close to Mad Bees, you could go to either of those and say, help, can I try doing this in one of your machines, and see how that goes. And then Linda is saying, are you pulling too tight in the hoop?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think it's really possible.
not with a magnetic,
got to this
no.
point. So
Is the
my
original
best,
VP3 file corrupted? Is there a bit of would it be worth deleting the file off your computer,
I think she's
off your
already done that.
machine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So my suggestion, Kim, would be go to see either Madonna at Mad Bees, and feel free to say Sarah sent you, or go to see Darren at Mulqueen and say, can I please try this on one of your machines? And see
Okay.
what happens. Even if, and even start out, have you actually tried this design on a, like, cut a 10-inch square of fabric, batting fabric? Have you tried stitching it out literally just
It'll
on
stitch
a,
it just fine. On a small
okay,
piece. I think if I ever make this again, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put it together differently, because those blocks just will do better if the whole quilt isn't attached to it. I didn't, when I noticed when I made the outer borders for my other king size quilt, it didn't have, it still had the problem, but not as bad as this does. But there's not as much drag with those outer borders, because you can set them in such a way that the back part of whatever is behind your machine can be literally up off of the table, and the fabric just that kind of rests on the top of that. And you can do the same with the back. But with this, it's hard because there's so much on the, what would be the left side of the machine. And I really think it's weight. And I think it's just that the machine doesn't like doing the repetitive circles, because that's all X and Y moving. And if it's pulling weight and doing that, even if you try to hold it up, it just doesn't like to do that. I can stitch just that design on batting and backing and that block, because I had a couple blocks I made mistakes on, stitches it beautifully. But that's like a 12-inch by 12-inch piece of fabric. That's not 72 by 72.
So one thing Shirley is saying, she's found her magnetic hoops don't stitch out well if the stitching is too close to the edge of the hoop. So if you have a bigger hoop, then that might help that particular situation. We are way over time here. It is 1:21. Christine, thank you so much for popping in here. And thank you for posting a picture of the temperature quilt on Facebook. I saw that earlier. It's looking fabulous, even though you don't have a significantly huge temperature range going on.
No, there isn't.
You could borrow some of ours. We have more than enough of a temperature kind of range. So thank you for that. Kim, take a few deep breaths and move on to something else for now. Move on to working on something else for now and let this, just let this relax and go for the time being.